Hey everyone, welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This podcast is all about farmers markets. Whether you're a farmers market manager or a small farmer, food maker, or artisan selling at farmers markets, you have found just the right podcast.
I'm Kat Fields-White.
And I'm Bridget Myers. We're longtime farmers market managers, educators, and consultants. Get ready to catch up on all things farmers market pros with us. During this month of how-to episodes, today we're talking about how to create and maintain connections with the residents and businesses surrounding your market.
Today's episode of Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, is supported by Farmers Market University, offering a self-paced online Market Management 101 course for new market managers year-round, and live market management certification classes annually. Learn all the skills you need to manage a new market or improve your current market's operations and reduce your stress. Tent Talk listeners can take advantage of $25 off by using the code FMPROS25 when registering for the next live online Market Manager certification class that starts in January 2025 and runs for 12 weeks. For more information, click the Farmers Market University logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com.
All right, well, welcome back to Tent Talk, everybody.
Hey, we're going to have a good time at the conference.
Hey,
it's coming right up.
Look at that segue.
So look how I just slid on in there. It's like, what are we, 6 weeks out, 7 weeks out?
Oh, boy.
Not that far.
I don't want to count anymore because it makes me nervous.
Makes you nervous.
We're just on a roll and we're planning right ahead and everything's coming along so nicely and we're getting very excited.
Yes, I'm always excited to see everybody.
Yes.
We will have a good time at the 2025 conference.
See?
See?
Do you want me to do the opening speech and be like, welcome, everybody? You will have, the new attendees are going to be like, what kind of conference is this?
Scary. Anyway, if you're already registered, be sure to reserve your room now at the Catamaran.
Yes.
Before attendee rates expire the end of this month, but also that block's filling up. So, I mean, once they're out of rooms, they're out of rooms.
Yeah.
So be sure and do that. If you haven't registered for the conference, do that first and then reserve your room.
Yeah. Do it all together. This is the time. New year. New you. If you weren't organized before, do it now. Start with this.
Now.
Start with your conference booking.
We're all going to be so organized this year. I love it.
I'm telling you.
At this year's conference, we're going to have a sort of a serious workshop. I mean, they're all serious, but they're a valuable workshop.
Okay.
Hosted by Amanda Edmonds, who is quite the expert in this field, on building relationships with the decision makers in your community and municipality and pulling up your seat at the table.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, affecting local policies and zoning and, things that really do affect your market. But today, we're talking about sort of the same thing, but a little more casually. We're going to talk about how to cultivate and nurture good relationships with all the people who live and do business immediately around your market.
Yes, folks you see week after week.
That's right. Who's on your periphery? Who are you really affecting every week?
That's right. Not special guests, not folks that are doing other things, but really people in your kind of community where your market is.
Right.
Yep. So I think first, kind of, especially if you're a newer market or if you've been in a neighborhood for a long time and maybe haven't worked on these relationships, or maybe you did when you first started the market, but it's been a little while.
Or a new manager.
Yeah,
new
manager.
Market. There's a lot of that right now. A lot of new folks coming in.
New team, or there's new businesses and residents around. So kind of how to determine who is in your market's immediate surroundings.
Yeah. How do you find the people that are really in your locality?
Yep. So who would that be?
So with businesses, I mean, it can be simple as doing a community walk.
Yep.
So immediately surrounding your market, pick how big a circle you're going to establish as your actual home team, the people that you're closest to, and take a community walk, you and your team. Wander around. We're really lucky in one of our neighborhoods because they have a big taste of every year. Signing up you and your team for that is amazing because you get to actually taste what each restaurant in your immediate neighborhood is serving. That can be awesome. If you got the budget for it, create your own taste. Take your team out and have a little appetizer at all the restaurants that are closest to your market.
You can do a little crawl. Yep.
That's right. But, just really walk the blocks, take some notes, notice who's in your neighborhood, notice especially maybe new businesses that aren't aware that you're there and you want to make sure that they know that they're welcome to the community. You can also go to your community association or a business improvement district or maybe a Main Street organization, and they may have a list of businesses in your area. So that's really handy. If you get that list, it may have email addresses or even physical addresses so that you can either stop in and say hello, or maybe you're going to drop them a postcard when you outreach to your whole community.
Exactly. And especially maybe if your market's not kind of like on the main drag, but you're on a side street or just outside that main business district, but still part of the neighborhood, and you're not really as familiar with the businesses, it's good to connect with folks like community groups or business groups that have more, like, are more in touch with businesses that just opened or businesses that have been there for a long time, and maybe people who own businesses that are great parts of the community that would welcome you in and kind of give you the rundown on things. So making those connections.
Sometimes you'll discover businesses in your neighborhood because you hear from them, hopefully happily, because they want to be a sponsor of the day or they want to participate. But, sometimes for other reasons. But we'll get to that a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll get to what to do when they're not coming by to say hello and welcome.
Right?
That's right. Well, we'll get to that.
Identify that when they have a torch.
Yes. You can always help them snuff it out.
That's
we'll
right.
Give you some tips.
Exactly.
But who else is in your market's immediate surroundings? Not just businesses, but likely residents.
Yeah. So you probably have people living around you. Even if you're in a central business district, oftentimes there's apartments upstairs from those businesses. Our neighborhood is in transition. And so you've got some old residences. Maybe they're being replaced by condo towers, that kind of thing.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. Mixed in with businesses. So you
Yeah.
probably have some residents in your area. There's a few ways to determine who's there. You can buy a mailing list from the post office. Sometimes that's a residence list. Sometimes it actually has names on them. You can do a door hanger campaign so that you get out to everybody in the neighborhood and let them know you're there and develop connections that way.
Yeah. And I will say door hangers are such a good, like, personal way to introduce yourself to the neighborhood. Remember that you need to design them and print them and then have someone who's able to walk around and put them on doors. So either you get a service to do that or we've done it ourselves, just kind of in the immediate. And as someone who has hung door hangers before in neighborhoods where our markets is, I'm always like, oh, I'm going to go get all these door hangers out in like 2 hours. And it just takes a lot longer than you think. So just FYI.
It does take longer than you
ahead.
think. I'm a big fan of door hangers. I mean,
Yeah.
there is no better way to make sure you actually reach everybody in your surrounding area. Yes, some of those folks are on social media. Some aren't.
Yeah.
Some of them are walking around and will pick up a flyer or see a poster. Some aren't. They're not out there. So door hangers are brilliant. But they are two things. As you mentioned, they're of no use to you at all if you print them and they sit in your office all year. And
Who would do that?
I will say that has happened to me before, and I'm watching it happen a little bit. Not too much, that we got most of them out, but in another market that I'm coaching, did discover that some are still sitting in an office. Not a good thing. But the other thing is they do add up, especially you got to take into account when you're budgeting on that, the distribution. So
Yes.
either you're paying a service to do it, or you're probably paying your team to do it. So that does add up. So be sure and you include that in your budget. Printing them is fairly reasonable nowadays. But door hanger campaigns are really one of the easiest ways to engage one of those businesses you just got to know. And do a cooperative one. So I know that we've done door hanger campaigns where, say, a realtor put their information on the back and we put our information on the front for the market, or, water services, or a restaurant. Anybody in your neighborhood that wants to do it, that's a great way for them to actually touch every doorstep. And you can charge them for that as a sponsor and mitigate your cost.
Exactly. Or if you're working with a business improvement district, if you have a partnership relationship with the business group or a community group in your neighborhood, maybe suggest that you do like a door hanger, and then maybe they have folks who could be boots on the ground for you to get those door hangers out.
Yeah. Makes so much sense. So say that you're in a park and not on a business street, so you might not have a business right next to you, but you probably still have one around the corner, or there's a business district very near you, so you can still reach out to businesses. Good chance there's homes around that park. But the other part of your community that's right at the doorstep of your market in that situation is other people using the park. So those folks that have reserved a gazebo so that they can have their kid's birthday party, or somebody that's having a reunion there, or a boot camp that's working out. And it's really good to reach out to them as well and get to know them. Those are people that are in your community.
Yeah.
At one of our markets, we've got a Pilates in the Park group that shows up in the park right next to our market. And it's been great to get to know them, kind of do some cooperative marketing, encourage people to eat healthy and get healthy by working out. So it's a really symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, for sure. And so, sports that use parks, those guys are out there weekly or for practices, for games, and that's like families that come out. So it's a good time to really connect with those groups because they will become your regular shoppers as well.
Yeah. So for a how-to on that, I would say as much signage as you can get into your site. Like hopefully there's some banner poles where you can hang a banner that stays up all week, reminding people that the market's going to be there on Saturday or on Tuesday evening. And then also, having a ton of flyers at your info booth so that you can pass it out to people in the park if they're walking by on the way to a gathering and maybe don't have time to stop right then, being sure to let them know that you're going to be right back there the next week.
Yep, for sure. There's lawn signs and things that you can, check your local rules and regulations on that, but you can pop a lawn sign in there. So maybe when the market's not happening, folks that are using the park can still see your information. So,
right.
Yeah, make
Good
those
idea.
connections. Make those connections.
Institutions right around you. So local schools, churches, what other kind of institutions?
Rec
Maybe they're
centers.
hospitals,
Yeah.
senior centers.
Yeah, places that have a lot of different people coming in and out all the time.
Yeah, those are truly your neighbors.
Yep.
Really smart to get flyers in there. First and foremost, to walk in and introduce yourself and let them know what the details are of your market and do a little face-to-face on who you are and who their staff is so you can recognize each other.
Yeah.
But then also, take that one step further and get some flyers in there and get a poster on their window. Let people know we're right here.
Yeah, and I always tell my team too when we do outreach campaigns. I just have one of my staff doing this right now. Actually, she's going and speaking with restaurants and different businesses in the area. And also we're in a downtown area. And so we have a lot of hotels. So she's speaking to a lot of concierges. And so it's nice to take the approach of not just, hey, this is our business. Tell your customers to come to our business or tell your visitors to come to our business. Like what's the market going to do for them? Like when we talk to schools, we say, oh, we have these incentive programs, or do you have a lot of families that are using EBT? So kind of make that relationship happen. So when we're going and speaking with hotels, we say, oh, there's our market. These are the days and times that they happen. They are just down the street or a couple blocks away. Can you please share this with your guests? Because we know your guests always want to have a great, real San Diego experience. They can shop with the locals at the market. They can eat local food. They can be something that they do during the day, maybe like our Wednesday morning market when they can't really direct them to a lot of fun events that are happening around San Diego. Send them over to the market so they can have a great experience here. So kind of telling them how the market can help their guests and their business have a great time while they're there. And so the concierges always appreciate getting our information because they also want to be in the know about everything. So if a hotel guest has maybe Googled farmers markets in the area and they ask the concierge oh, is that market open right now? Or how late does it open? The concierges like to have the answers to that. So just give them flyers and posters and things they can tape on their desk and things they can hand to their guests. And so that they have all the information so they really have the answers.
Yeah. And as you always bring up, when you're making a friend, you don't want to do all the talking.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
If you've got a new friend, you want to know their story. So maybe step one is to go in and ask a lot of questions about their business or ask a lot of questions about their hotel. Where can we refer people? Or ask questions about the park facilities. Are there fitness classes here that we can refer our shoppers to? So asking questions first and getting to know them before you just lay promotion on them is good. This is a forming a friendship kind of situation.
Yeah, because we're kind of talking about how to nurture connections. This isn't really only marketing. This isn't strictly marketing. So you're forming a relationship with folks. Make sure that they have your phone number. So, as we'll discuss, if someone that is staying at their hotel maybe accidentally parked on the street where your market takes place and their car got towed and they don't know what to do and they're panicking. They're in a new city. They don't know that the number is printed on the parking sign. If they come to the concierge can say, oh, I have the manager's phone number. We can call her directly. Or, oh, she gave me the number to call when the car gets towed. So the concierge can be helpful to this person. So that is really forming a relationship because, the hotel may take the brunt of this customer's anger because their car got towed at the market and it'll be directed toward the hotel. And so to kind of help deflect that and help that relationship kind of feel a little easier, give them the information that they need in order to help this person when that situation happens.
Yeah, that's so smart. And actually collecting those numbers for the concierges, it can lead to things like tours for concierges, but it can also be handy if, say, you're relocating your market for a day or you're going to be closed on a certain holiday, reaching out and letting the concierges know so that they can feel comfortable giving accurate information to their guests will make them a hero.
For sure. Yep. So make sure that you're forming a relationship and not just doing an information dump, or this is not just a marketing situation.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So I think info booths can be key in this. Once you get past the let's go look around the neighborhood, see who's there, and introduce ourselves and get to know them, the info booth can be a great key to being responsive to any concerns, learning to recognize your locals, as many names as you can possibly remember, wave and say hello, and then really intentionally training your staff to do all those same things.
Yeah, we love that we get a lot of regular shoppers. Obviously, our market's been around for a long time, but even when we start new markets in new neighborhoods where we don't know a lot of people, I always made a point to get to know like 5 regular customers so I could call them by name. I knew what they were looking for and shopping for. And just, I mean, it's like that old show Cheers. It's like everyone likes to go somewhere where they know their name. So getting to know people that come to the market and knowing what they're looking for, or knowing that, oh, they always shop at this farm. So before they even walk up the street, you can say, oh, this farm is out for the week. I know you're going to want to look for their lettuce, but have you tried this other farm? And just kind of giving that personal connection and touch to somebody that comes out and lives in your neighborhood and shops your market.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, what happens at the info booth, of course, and things that you want to be ready for and have your team ready for, your staff and your volunteers, is that you'll occasionally get complaints.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were mentioning that person that got their car towed.
So about that person.
You're likely to not start that interaction on the most positive note, but if you manage it correctly, you can still make them feel part of the community by managing complaints. It's the old thing they used to say, like in restaurants or retail or what have you. A shopper that's had a bad experience, but that you've resolved well, can actually be a more loyal customer than anybody else.
Exactly.
So if you manage complaints well, I think you're ahead of the game. I think step 1 on that is just to listen.
Yep.
And kind of empathize. People just want to be heard. So it's really key to not get defensive, which is simple to do when somebody approaches you rolling, at a rolling boil and they're ready to vent.
Yeah.
It's really easy to take it personally or want to jump in and explain that it's not your fault. It's the city that tows cars.
Yeah.
But I think the first step really is to listen and let them get it off their chests.
And sympathize. I usually say, oh, I've lived in San Diego for a long time. I've had my car towed, which I absolutely have not because I work in this business and I read no parking signs so religiously. But just kind of I've definitely had parking tickets and things like that. And I've definitely, had this experience where I'm not sure where to park. It's confusing. And so just sympathizing with them and saying, I know this is really tough. Like, I'm so sorry, without kind of admitting that we hurt them deliberately in some way because there was a huge no parking sign there. Of course we did not. But also just saying, listening to their whole story.
And putting yourself in their shoes. I mean, it is when you travel or even locally when you go from one neighbor to the other, or in your own neighborhood when you're used to being able to park in a certain place and all of a sudden you can't. Or on your Saturday morning when you're getting up early and want to have your coffee, but for some reason the busker at the market is just on volume 10.
Yeah.
I mean, putting yourself in their shoes and just thinking about, gosh, okay, how would this affect my life if I was living right here next door to a busy market? And then being able to be empathetic and listening. You're not going to close the market to change that situation, but you can understand that for them, this is probably, there's some pluses and some minuses.
Yeah. And is it a problem that maybe can be solved?
Sure.
Is there a vendor who's blasting their radio at 6 a.m.? Yes, we have music at the market and we're not going to change that. But if a resident's like, hey, this is really annoying. They're blasting their music so early. Like, I work nights or I get home late on Friday nights and it's just too much. You can just say, oh, I'm happy to have a conversation with that vendor. Sometimes I tune some of that stuff out just because I just hear market noise in a different way. But I can just go, hey, don't blast your radio at 6 a.m. And the vendor goes, okay. And then problem solved. And the resident feels really heard. They feel like we care about them because I could just say, sorry, we're allowed to do whatever we want. And we're having a market. But just kind of feeling heard and feeling like, hey, we're in a partnership here. Like, we're here. The market's here for you.
Yeah, our goal is to make everybody in the community happier.
Exactly.
And probably once they've had their coffee and they come out, they love being able to get fresh fruits and vegetables and a warm croissant right outside their door.
Yes.
But you've got to make sure that the whole experience works for them to the extent that you can while still doing what the market needs to succeed.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits for businesses and residents, of course, that to have a market right outside your door, but listening to that feedback. And I have a lot of really great relationships with folks that are surrounding our market who do call me and email me to complain about things. They'll say, this person's unloading in the fire lane again. I can't get my car out, or I know they're not supposed to be doing this, or with the music, or, leaving a little bit of a mess when they leave, right in this parking spot right in front of my house. So, but it's a good relationship. They just say, hey, Bridget, this is happening. And sometimes I really appreciate it because, our Saturday market is 6 blocks long. So I do walk up and down all morning, but sometimes I don't see this kind of stuff. Sometimes
you
I
don't
miss
know what's
stuff.
going on 4 blocks down sometimes.
Exactly. And stuff is happening that's maybe just right outside my vision. And so having extra eyes and approaching it nicely with me, I appreciate that relationship that they are building with me as residents. So yeah, it can work both ways.
And I think the how-to there is that you're always very responsive and you get back to them quickly and you intervene to make sure that, if possible, the behavior that's creating inconvenience for them is eliminated or resolved or altered. And so when they know that you're going to do that you're going to hear them, that you're going to get back to them, that you're going to take action, they're less inclined to blast in and say, I'm going to the board, this market is ruining the neighborhood.
Yeah.
They just come in and say, hey, love having you here. This is making our life really hard. This particular car is, encroaching on our driveway. We can't get in and out easily. They come at you calmly because they're used to being heard.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that makes such a difference. And I mean, that's the how-to, is creating a relationship so that it's not conflict, it's cooperation. You're working together to make it work for everybody.
And keeping in mind that if you're going to be there every week, you're going to have to see these people every week. It's not like a customer who just might not come back again if you have a bad interaction with them. If that's a resident on the street where your market is, guess what? This is like having a neighbor that you're having some kind of conflict with. It's like you kind of have to get along. You need to make it work. It's like family. You need to make it work because we're going to be in each other's lives.
There we go.
Yeah, making a hostile situation out of, someone's bad day or some kind of complaint is not, I don't advise that.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, in dealing with everybody, each other, managers and vendors, market and residents and neighbors, we all need to sort of remember that what we're seeing is the tip of somebody's iceberg.
Yep.
And maybe they are complaining because they're having a bad day, or they've got a sick kid, or their parents are needing something, or they've got financial struggles. So a lot of times, as in any situation, when they're complaining about something you're doing at the market, it may just be that they're having a rough day, rough week.
Yeah.
Give everybody a little grace.
We had to remind ourselves of that during COVID when people were screaming at us about wearing a mask in the market. It really wasn't about just having to wear a mask in the market. They were just really panicked about pandemic. So yeah, just kind of keeping that in mind.
I think in terms of businesses, a complaint that we get sometimes that can be addressed in a variety of ways, and again, you want to use all the tools that we just talked about, is you'll have businesses that feel threatened by the market. Oh, that's our competition. I pay rent here 24/7, and these guys are allowed to just come pop a tent and sell to this huge crowd for 6 hours. Well, the huge crowd didn't magically appear. They come because of all those tents on the street and because of the marketing that you do to get them there. So it can be really helpful at that stage. Again, not in the first few sentences of the conversation, because first you want to listen as opposed to being defensive. But as you carry on that conversation, whether it's in that moment or over time, over the next few weeks, if you've done some surveys and you have a little bit of data to deal with, it's really helpful to be able to show them that, hey, you know what, when we survey customers, they say that they spend this amount of time at the market and that they visit 2 businesses near the market while they're in the neighborhood. Or use on your survey questions, have you discovered places in the neighborhood that you hadn't been to before once you started coming to the market? And be able to have some numbers that say, you know what, we bring this many people to the street for 6 hours. That absolutely spills over to your business. They are coming to see you when they come to see us. And that can calm them down. I find that most of those kind of businesses, maybe they're struggling themselves, maybe they're new and they're not sure how this is going to affect them. They do over time seem to realize that rising tides float all boats, and that all those customers that are coming to the market is going to strengthen their business as well. But initially they can be nervous.
Yeah, and you don't want to act cocky and arrogant, you wouldn't even have any business until the market was here, bringing all these people here. So more of like you were saying, conversation where, hey, we're kind of helping each other out. I know that folks that come to the info booth and ask us, oh, where can I get gelato, or where's the best coffee? And we have coffee in the market, but I'll say, we have 2 coffee vendors in the market, but then also, I'll hold up my cafe cup because I don't want to walk too far to get my coffee. So I go to the coffee shop that's right across the street from our info booth, and I go, well, I get this coffee every morning. I get it when I come here. When it's not a market day, it's really great coffee. They're right across the street. So kind of sharing that kind of love and telling them, oh, yeah, I send customers there all the time, or my team gets stuff from your business as well. It's like this is a community of customers that we're all sharing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do it a little bit to, on your social media on those days in the middle of the week between your market. Maybe instead of promoting something about the market in particular, you're talking about an activity in the neighborhood or a business that's close to you.
Yeah.
Maybe you're sharing in your story something that they've posted about a special promotion they have coming up, or that they've got a new menu.
Yeah, exactly. And we talk a lot about that in our marketing episodes that we do. going out and really being customers of the businesses around your market. You want them to shop. I always want those business owners to shop at our market so they can have a firsthand experience. So when they talk to their customers, they can really speak truthfully about how they love the market. I want us to feel the same thing about their businesses.
Yep. So a little more how-to on keeping in touch with those folks once you've figured out who they are. Emails, make sure that you get your local businesses and residents on your email list to the extent that you can. Making phone calls to a business if you've got something special coming up, or if you know that there's going to be street construction that's going to affect the market, call up that local business just in case they haven't heard it. Hey, did you know that this street's going to be closed this week? So maybe let your customers know to watch out for that. Doing mailers to local residents, doing mailers to local businesses, and then get out there with your face. Go to local groups' public meetings and board meetings. That's so important.
Yes. I feel like it's harder for folks to have so many complaints if they know that there's like a person or a group running the market. Markets are so confusing to people because they're like, is this the city? Is this they're very confused about who is really in charge of this. And once they know that there's a group that really cares, or a person that cares about the neighborhood, maybe you live in the neighborhood where your market is, or you live adjacent to that, or you come there with your family. I mean, there's like a person is in charge. It's kind of tones that down a little bit, and they have somebody to talk to and communicate with. If they see that you're out there working hard, going to meetings, sending mailers, out there early in the morning, it kind of just makes it a better relationship for your community.
Yeah, I think point well taken that a lot of people just think this is a government entity.
Yes.
This market.
And it's very easy to complain about government entities because they're just everywhere and nowhere. It's like just not a person. So
Right.
Yeah, making it very specific, like, hey, we're a small business too. I mean, I tell folks all the time, I'm like, hey, my business is a small business. Like, my small business is running these farmers markets. It's an event business, a farmers market business. And so they go, oh yeah, you're a small business too. So it kind of helps you relate to people and open up a door for conversation if it's needed.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you can sit in on meetings, but you can also maybe apply to do presentations. I feel like the Rotary Club in our neighborhoods, every neighborhood we've ever been in, they're always looking for folks to come to their monthly meeting and give a little talk.
Yeah.
And they've been really excited and really receptive and really enlightened because they definitely have no idea how farmers markets run or what they do. So that can be good. Business incubators. You've had really good response from speaking to classrooms at schools.
Yeah, I go into classrooms. I have kids in these schools, but I think you could approach a school and just say, hey, I run the farmers market. Do you want me to come talk about local produce or how markets run, or like how to get your small business started? There's high schools where they have to do like a project, which is like start a small business. We have groups come to the market and do tours all the time. And I always speak to them about, Vendor 101 and like the process of getting started with the food business and just some kind of tips so the kids can get a better understanding. And the teachers and staff always are like, wow, they learn a lot too, because they just don't know. So it's kind of sharing that knowledge. I did a presentation at the Lions Club one time in North Park. It was like the best day of my life because they were so sweet. They made a little certificate for me and they fed me lunch. Like, it was so wonderful. And I just came out and they just asked me questions. It was literally like 45 minutes of them asking just really kind of simple questions to very detailed questions about organic farming or starting a small business, packaging, shipping, it was really, really great to hear their perspective and to kind of enjoy a conversation with their curiosity. And it helped. And then they came out to the market. So then I would see them at the market.
Like that. We saw them at the market after that, and they would come out and say, hey, Bridget.
Yes, they would say, hey, Bridget. And they'd be, oh, there's that vendor you were talking about. And they'd go tell a vendor that I was talking about them in this presentation and how wonderful they are. And being open, rain or shine. We had a whole conversation about that. And it kind of developed a better appreciation for a farmer's market and how they felt very lucky to have a farmer's market in their neighborhood after I came and spoke to them, because they said, wow, this is a really great community staple. And not every neighborhood has a farmer's market. And aren't we lucky, in North Park to have this market? So it was really great. I highly recommend.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and that turned out to be a really long-term relationship, right? Didn't you have Naomi's quinceañera at the Lions Club?
I sure did. Because I was like, oh, I know a place where we can have this quinceañera. It won't cost me $1 million. But yeah, that was another thing. As a resident in that neighborhood, I formed a relationship with them as well. So it's all very symbiotic, and things are not always smooth when you're doing this kind of stuff, building a relationship with, anybody, especially other small business owners that may or may not be type A like yourself. And just, dealing with the city and everybody, just dealing with all the things that we have to deal with. These relationships are not always smooth, but it's such an important part. People have asked me, what makes your market so successful? And I go, I promise you, it's that we are very involved in all the communities where we have markets. We are out there at those businesses. We are supporting businesses. We are getting to know the residents. We actually care about the communities. There are farmers markets sometimes that just kind of drop into, they're from outside areas. They come into a town. They pop farmers markets up. They don't get very involved. They don't seem to care very much about the market's kind of relationship with the people that have been there. And those markets don't succeed, or they don't succeed in the same way.
Right.
And it gives farmers markets a bad name. So it's just do it for the benefit of all farmers markets everywhere.
That's right. Get to know your
You have a greater
neighbors.
goal here. But yeah, building those relationships really it'll lend to the success of your market.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Some other outreach things that are kind of simple, analog. Putting ads in church bulletins or neighborhood newsletters. Those are usually super inexpensive. You do it more as a support thing than necessarily as a revenue stream for them. But giving support to other groups is the best way to get support.
Yeah, exactly.
Any friendship.
Exactly.
Give to your local groups fundraisers. So when your local school or other organizations are having a silent auction, give them a basket, give them some market money, promote that activity on your email newsletters and at your market.
Yeah.
Understand what your neighbors need, really, is what it boils down to. Look for the needs that they have, look for the requests that they have, and just be tuned in to how can I help?
Exactly. Yeah. Do you need to donate, money or baskets, or does this community need you and your staff to come donate 2 hours of their time and do a beach cleanup?
Yeah.
Or paint over graffiti.
Yeah.
Or, do something. What does your community need? What is your community asking for? What are they short on that you can provide?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly it. And then on kind of the promotion side, if you're looking at where to put this in the budget and how to allocate your time, you can put out invitations to specific groups to tour the market. We've had concierges come through, and we've also had senior citizens that get on a bus at the senior center and come down and walk, albeit slowly, I can say that because I'm the old person here, through the market, and maybe teach them what kind of fresh fruits and vegetables are available that might be accessible, like on senior nutrition bucks.
Yep.
How to cook things, and maybe sometimes they're in a place where they don't have access to really a full kitchen. They've got sort of a kitchenette situation, and what they can prepare easily with minimal kitchen time and equipment. That can be really helpful. Obviously, inviting schools to come tour is also excellent.
Excellent. And so fun. Yeah. Kind of senior groups or, different groups that come through. We've had a lot of kind of fun times teaching them. They want to know how to cook simple meals for one. So it's kind of hard sometimes. And they think they have to buy, if they see a basket of strawberries, they think they have to buy a whole basket, which is true with some farmers. But then some farmers will tell them, oh, no, we'll give you a half basket.
Yeah, or single carrot. They don't have to buy a whole bag like you do in the supermarket.
Exactly. Yep. So they get to know, I can come here and just get just enough food. I'm on, senior assistance, or I just don't need to buy a bunch of food that I'm not going to eat and I'm going to waste. Or they teach them how to pickle things or how to make stock and freeze it and just make the best use of their fruits and veggies. So that's good for everybody. But I have seen that the senior groups really appreciate that. Yeah, so that's making a connection with your groups too. And there's probably folks in the neighborhood whose senior parents or grandparents are in those homes too. So that connection just kind of spreads everywhere in your community.
Absolutely. You can do a local's loyalty card, maybe for a discount of the day that's only good if you're in this zip code or, in your particular neighborhood. In terms of budgeting for that, you can also make that into a co-op event with a local business to make sure that the budget works out on it. For instance, get a local restaurant chef to come take a tour through the market with your neighbors. Teach them what he buys and what he makes out of that. He gets exposure for the restaurant, so maybe he can chip in on those market money bucks that you give people to buy a few things while they're on that tour.
Yeah, I love that. Just kind of wrapping all of the neighborhood businesses into one kind of event or special promo is really helpful. We've done that for Shop Small Saturday, where, we had a market that wasn't on a Saturday, but folks could shop on Saturday and they had a card, and if they get it punched for, so many restaurants or retail shops in the neighborhood, and then brought it to the market that next week, they had to turn their card into us, and then we gave them $5 to shop at the market. So that was helpful to the shops on the Saturday because they loved that people came around with their cards and they knew exactly where to go and that they were coming specifically to them to get that punch. And then it was good for us because the folks came to the market that day and we had to spend a little marketing money on those $5 gift cards, but they were just so excited. And then they spent the money at the market with our farmers and vendors.
And obviously, once they spend that first $5, they're going to be tempted by so many things and pull a little money out of their own wallets.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. So they, stick around. It really helped everybody in the neighborhood. And it was a good thing to talk about at the business meetings that we were going to together. And that really helped, especially it can help kind of mend some fences if there's been any issues with folks in the neighborhood. Just say, hey, like I want to, make this better. Let's do this community thing together.
Yeah. Love a passport event.
Mm-hmm.
And then in general, holiday events, holiday specials, activities at the market, they bring in the people that you've gotten to know over the year and having a chance to recognize them and say, oh, I'm so glad you came out for this. Wave to the people that you know. One year, I know you did thank you cards for regular customers. I mean, that was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to do that every year. I really need to do it. I've done it around Thanksgiving time and said thank you. And I've done it around the holidays. I think we did one for Valentine's Day one time and just said, we love our market shoppers. And I printed some canvas bags and gave them to the first 100 regular shoppers that came out. And it was just a really simple canvas bag. And they were so touched that we gave it to the folks that we recognized. It wasn't for the tourists at the market, although we love them too. And it wasn't for folks that we didn't know. It was for folks that come out to the market all the time. And I just told my staff, hand this out to, our regular EBT shoppers or our early bird shoppers or people that we just see week after week. And it was really a nice thank you. And then when you give somebody a bag, they fill it up with stuff. So it's better sales for your farmers and vendors. So helps all around and kind of recognize them. You can hand those out to businesses that are surrounding your market as well and just say thank you for being a good neighbor.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm making that note right now. I may just be running around with Valentines for the businesses near us.
There we go. See, Valentine's Day is a nice time to say we love our shoppers or we love our neighborhood. Make it about a mutual love. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So many opportunities.
So that's how to nurture that community for sure. We're constantly reminding people to shop local, and markets are purposefully intertwined with their communities. Just like when you're creating any group of friends, your market's willingness to reach out, tell your story, and listen to theirs, lend support in good times and bad, and throw a good party will make you and your market popular. People buy from their friends and shop close to home. Cultivating your closest neighbors makes good business sense for your market and makes your corner of the world and theirs a happier place.
Thanks for listening today, and big thanks to Farmers Market University for helping market managers hone and verify their professional skills, and for supporting Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. Learn more and save on the 2025 Farmers Market Certification course by clicking the Farmers Market University logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com.
Please leave us a review on your podcast app or wherever you listen to Tent Talk. Let us and others know how you're enjoying the podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Tent Talk. Connect with fellow Farmers Market folks in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros Community, and follow us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros. Find online education and other resources at farmersmarketpros.com. Tent Talk is brought to you by Farmers Market Pros, where passion meets profit. Tent Talk is hosted by Kat Fields-White and Bridget Myers and produced by Leandra Hayes, with original music by David Mead. Tune in next week for another great episode.